What should the Denver Broncos do with wide receiver Demaryius Thomas? Alongside ESPN NFL front office insider Mark Dominik, I am Jim Basquil. You already know this, but I'll tell our viewers. 94, 92, 111. Those are the total receptions in each of the last 3 years. Over 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns a year ago. This is an awfully productive player. They have him tagged right now, so they at least have him under contract. But should they lock him up before July 15th long term?
Yeah, I think that's critical for them. And I think this is one of those negotiations that's gone on a little longer than I even expected. I mean, I know that Peyton Manning makes a lot of players great, but Demaryius Thomas is great no matter what. And I don't care what quarterback's throwing to him, he's going to put up tremendous numbers. And so Demaryius Thomas is critical for their offseason. And again, I'm sure he's shooting for a high number. But again, Peyton Manning gave back money to make sure he had a good season. And this is the one player I would be paying. And I would push myself a little bit further because I know what he is off the field. He's a fantastic young man, but he also produces like this on the field. The critical reason why you have to get Demaryius Thomas done is in 2016, if he plays, once you hit the franchise tag on July 15th, you're no longer allowed to negotiate with the player until after your regular season is over. So what happens is that means Demaryius Thomas now becomes part of the 2016 NFL free agency class. Well, guess what? So does Von Miller. And the one thing you can't do in Denver is you have those two players both looking at each other going, if one of us doesn't do a deal, one of us gets to hit the bonanza, and they both will hit home runs in free agency. So there's a lot of, I think, importance right now over the next couple of days, just over a week now, where I think Demaryius Thomas, really, I think it's critical for the Broncos to make sure they do that, or they're going to lose one of the best players in the National Football
League. And the idea behind what you're trying to say here is the fact that if they lock Thomas up long term, they could tag Miller and keep them both.
That way you can keep them both.
You don't have to make a choice.
These two players are literally probably top 5 at their position in the National Football League, not just for the Denver Broncos. They're not one of the top 5. These are great, exceptional players that, in the Sioux caliber, that are going to hit the market and just explode if they get to that point. So I think the Denver Broncos have to get Demaryius Thomas done, or they really risk the chance of losing one of those two players, which would be a shame.
Yeah, Mark, if he plays under the tag next season, how does that impact them with regards to leverage and negotiations?
Well, here's the thing. Because you can't negotiate during the season, once you get through the regular season, I could open up the playbook and back with you and say, you're the agent, say, well, let's talk about a deal. And you're looking at me going, well, if I wait 2.5 months, I get to see what 31 other clubs think I'm worth, not just you. And so what's the point? I can't get hurt anymore. The games are over, basically. So the rush is on nothing on my. So I've got full leverage at that point as the agent to say, what's the need of doing a deal? And that's the trick.
Demaryius Thomas, lock him up long term. You got Mark Dominik's vote there. You can keep up with the latest NFL news surrounding the Denver Broncos as well as around the league by keeping it locked to the National Football League page right here on ESPN.com. For Mark Dominik, I'm Jim Basquil.